I think it's working.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hello.
So welcome on Wellness Journeys. We're so happy to see you. Welcome, Benedict.
Hi, Fred. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing this morning?
Well, it depends where you are, because for some people it's not morning.
That's really... I'm talking to you, so yeah, I think it's the morning still for you.
It's good. I'm good. What about you? I know it's early for you, Fred.
Yes, and I'm not awake thanks to my cat. I love my cat. So tonight the topic is how to choose your practitioner, your practice. And it's a theme that is like around our main theme of self-awareness, because you actually, I think, need to know a little bit of yourself to choose where you're going. You're going to be a little bit in trouble. So that's going to be my first tip. Know yourself first. So this panel today is about choosing your practitioner and your practice, but also as a practitioner, how do you grow your own practice? How do you move? How do you do with like keeping your knowledge when you're still practicing? How do you grow as an individual? So it's like for practitioner, but I think for any individual. We are so happy this morning. I am very, very happy to introduce our panelists today. So for the physical body, we have Johnna Key, wellness advocate and women's mindset mentor in Amsterdam. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. Oh, thank you for coming. For emotional body, we have Starbuck, creator of the Human Journal in Vancouver, Canada. Hi, Luke.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. For the mental body, we have Cody, NLP certified professional coach in Montreal, Canada. Hi, Cody.
It's a pleasure to be with you all.
Oh, welcome. And finally, for the spiritual body, we have Maud Pajot, hypnosis and Reiki master in Toulouse, France. Hi, Maud. I absolutely adore your t-shirt. Yeah, I don't know, like I look at it and it makes me already happy. I'm like, yes.
Like holiday on me.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, yes, holidays.
Yeah, the sun is very shiny today.
Oh, lucky you. We should just like show our windows with Luke and show you what we have like by the window. I think I'm gonna have a swimming pool and it's my balcony. That's great.
Yeah, I remember Vancouver.
Yeah, you used to live there. Well, it's everything you remember of.
Frederic, just a quick thing. I was talking to a friend recently who moved from Vancouver to Montreal. I'm like, how can you make it? I mean, how can you leave Vancouver? There's no snow. It's beautiful. She's like, I'm like, all those beautiful photos I see. It's like, no, you need to learn something. People from Vancouver only post photos when it's sunny.
When it's sunny.
That's the special secret.
That was like, how can you leave a place as beautiful as Vancouver and to come to Montreal when it's cold and snowy and anyhow.
Yeah.
The secret is busted.
Yeah, you can say that. You think about London. Well, there's more rain than in London. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a beautiful city, though, and I love the outdoors. But the rain. I used to live in Bangkok before that. That was a bit of a stretch. I love sun, so yeah. Anyhow, so let's go back to our subject, I guess. My first question is more like a broad question, and it's like, what is self-awareness for you? Because as we mentioned, it's like a key to develop your practice and like also like moving forward in life. So I would like to know, what is self-awareness for you? And maybe we can begin with Luke. What is self-awareness with you? Yes.
I love this question. I think it's so interesting. And I think my answer would have been different a few years ago, actually. Self-awareness for me these days means being in a position where I can soothe and comfort myself such that I can go into the most uncomfortable territory and not need to back away or try to rapidly escape or come to some kind of conclusion quickly just for the sake of feeling more comfortable, to create something tangible in order to feel more comfortable. So self-awareness now for me has been in the last few years a lot about developing skills around being able to sit with knowledge of perhaps being uncomfortable and not feeling like I need to change that very quickly. And sort of the next level then is to consciously opt into exploring something or doing something that takes me into an uncomfortable place. So I feel really lucky to have been able to cultivate that to a little degree so far, because it's a very interesting experience. So yeah, about I guess knowing what's uncomfortable for you, but being able to dwell with it for a period of time.
Oh, I absolutely adore that answer. So basically self-awareness helps you to do more. Then maybe you will put some breaks of fear or we are all scared about the unknown at certain degree. I think we're human made program for that. But
Yeah.
I really like it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What about you, Cody? What is your definition of self-awareness?
I love what you brought, the fact that visiting that uncomfortable place. And I think self-awareness has different levels, right? So I think for Luke, who has done a lot of work on himself, it's a comfortable, he can get comfortable being uncomfortable. But I think self-awareness for me on a very basic level is to be aware of what's happening inside of you, emotionally, physically, knowing oh my God, I have stomachache. Like this morning I woke up, there's something happening, I'm trying to make a decision. And this morning I woke up with a stomachache and I actually tried to connect. I'm like, what's going on? I was feeling nauseous. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't do anything bad. I slept well. What's going on? So I knew it was coming from a place of that decision that I'm afraid of making. So to go back to the basic, for me, self-awareness is being able to recognize the emotion you're going through or you're having, even though you cannot resolve it, but being aware of what's happening there for you. And I think that's not easy. Checking your internal temperature, it takes a lot of practice. The second thing is, as I said, is being aware of what's happening in your body and being aware of your thoughts. And I don't think it's an easy thing to do. It's something that we need to practice in order to do the second nature. And the reason behind all of this is for me to be able to grow and to take ownership of what we're going through rather than feeling victim. Because I used to feel the victim for so long. And just being in a position where okay, this is what's happening and what do I want to do with it? So yeah, simply put, what are my emotions, what are my thoughts, and what are the feelings I'm going through in my body.
Oh. Yes, Benedict, come on.
A suggestion. Would you mind putting yourself on mute?
Yes. I tried to explain in the room next to me, but apparently it didn't come through.
Wants to be part of it. Next time, just invite him over.
I say it's a great idea. I'm gonna just maybe also self-awareness of the level of your voice, but but yes, I will. Thank you for telling me, Benedict. Okay, so the next question. I would like to know for some of you, how did you come across your practice? How did you know it was the right place for you to grow? And maybe we can begin with Maud. So you are doing hypnosis and Reiki. So how do you know that it's the right fit for you?
Like I always do when I take a decision for me or what I want to do for a living, and every time I want a good feeling. I think it's very cool that I'm a spiritual pop, because my answers are never like from the life or from the other's life on what they think, or just I want feeling very good. I want like my own vibration grow up every day. That's why when I make an experience, after I take some time to think about it, and yeah, hypnosis for me, it's the good choice. But I cannot explain you like, yeah, I can understand that the people need that, because it's a quick answer to your to yourself, to understand yourself. It's very fast to getting better when you use hypnosis. That's why I like it, because now in society, sorry, we need to do the thing fast, and we want like 5 different life in one. That's why I like it, because I'm a fast person too. But Reiki helped me to just put a light inside me and know what's the best for me. But it's the question I ask me almost every day. I don't know if my answer is enough for you.
Oh no, it's great. I really like it. I'm also a Reiki teacher, so I totally get what you mean. And it arrived in my life when I was having like 3 different jobs in like 3 different continents, and I was totally burned out. But I just like it arrived there, and it was putting back into like the what is really important for yourself. And I remember after the level 1, so I was in Bangkok, and I learned it, and it was like having a new set of eyes. So I was so happy to go out. So I just left the teacher, and I bye-bye, and I went into the street, and I look at everything, and like everything seemed a little bit having a new filter. So yes, I kind of like get that part. Thank you so much. What about you, Johnna? Like I would like you to explain what you are doing, the wellness advocates and women mindset mentors. That look like super cool. I want to know more about it, and like, how do you know like that is the right fit for you?
That's a long, I guess mine's kind of a long journey. I started with yoga a while, like probably 7 or 8 years ago, as through the physical aspect of it. I had really bad pinched neck. I was on the verge of neck surgery at the age of 30. And I just kind of went, I don't want to live my life like this. And I went to a practitioner. She helped me, a chiropractor helped me with my neck. And then she prescribed yoga. And she's like, you need to go to these classes during the week, whatever. And after about 6 months of this practice with her, I could feel my hand again. My neck was better. I did not need the surgery. And so it slowly has developed from there. I've gotten into where I am now in this last year of teaching yoga and becoming a wellness advocate, meaning I sell doTERRA essential oils. So I sit down with people on their goals of what they'd like to achieve in their life, for their wellness goals of getting healthier from the inside out, not just, exercising or cutting back on one thing here and there, but truly sitting down and, like Luke was saying, like getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Sitting down, going through supplements, going through essential oils that you need for a time that you are, maybe going through a stressful time, and then changing the mindset with that, because we have so many stories that get stuck in the body, right? That are harmful, and they're negative stories, and they're generational. And sometimes we have stories that we tell ourselves that aren't even anything we've ever experienced. It was something that an ancestor or a parent experienced. And so it was passed down to us. So we don't even know why it's there. So I'm working a lot with women right now of just understanding the body, listening to the intuition, and not being afraid of themselves, not being afraid to be uncomfortable, and not being afraid of the unknown, and looking at the unknown instead of a fear, and having that unknown as kind of the world is my oyster. I can have any experience and do all of the things and create the life that I want. but you have to, like, I feel like I truly believe that the foundation starts with the body and healing yourself from the inside out, starting with the gut.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I there's some similarities with what Luc was saying, and just like being able to sit with what scares you and the unknown. So, and it all becomes with yourself first. So totally agree with that. And like, so as an individual, like aside from a practice or for your practice, like when you want to make an important choice, what tool do you use? Does anybody wants to answer that question? Or do I have to attribute a person? Yes. Yes, Cody.
I can start. So my background is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is an approach in change, to make it short. So one of the things that I try to apply to myself and help my clients do is to really see and feel and hear things. And often we try to use our cortex, our frontal cortex, our brain to try to make sense, but sometimes things don't make sense. And the part where we don't know, when we don't go to, and I know that sounds probably very cliche, is our intuition. And so to try to know, to connect to how am I feeling about something? How does it make me feel, again, in my body or emotionally, in my facial expressions, and what do I see really, and what do I hear? Because those things, actually, as humans, we have 5 senses. Well, the senses that we process the world through, and we don't pay a lot of attention to those senses. So how does it make me feel? What do I hear? Do I hear any voices? The voices of my mother telling me, oh, this is not good for you, or the voice of my friend judging things, or the voice, I don't know, of my ex. Does it remind me of something bad I have lived? What do I see? Do I see memories from the past? And just trying to figure out, why do I feel the way I feel about things? Because sometimes things are so logical. Logically speaking, I should make that decision. It's the right job for me. It's the right car. It's the right house. Yet there's something that's blocking me or stopping me from going there and making that decision. So try to follow what we feel about things. And yeah, so what we call it actually in NLP, the VACOG. So it's for visual, auditory, and kinesthetically what we're feeling. So yeah, that's it. Try to feel what you feel. Try to connect to what you feel when you're making a decision.
Oh, I really like that too. Go ahead, Benedict. Come.
But Peter again, I promise.
No, I didn't mention his name. You just did. Hi, Peter. We love you.
No, I just had a question because I feel there are a lot of people who are actually not used to do that. They don't know how. They don't even know how to do it. When you tell them, well, how are you feeling now? What's going on within yourself? They freeze. They're like, I don't know, because they just never practiced that before. And sometimes when they actually start doing it and get a glimpse of what they can feel right now, it's like they go back to their mental place, and they're like, oh shoot, I don't know if I should listen to my feeling or my thoughts, and it starts to be a big mess. So I'm just curious if you guys have any tools or any recommendations you could actually share to those people so they would be more connected to all their senses.
I can give you a quick tip that works for me and with my clients. Usually just thought dumping. Put everything on a paper, and without thinking, with, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, you're really nonstop, like letting your pen go, and leave it for a second or for a minute or for 10 minutes, whatever, and just go back to it later. And try to look at it, as somebody who those thoughts are not yours. Try to see, oh my God. So kind of take a step back, put yourself in a meta position. You're observing your thoughts rather than being really attached to them. So just thought dumping.
I've got something to add to that, and this is very near and dear to my heart because I have in the past been a very frozen, locked off, shut down kind of a person. I personally have had to learn a lot about noticing, you know, how you're feeling about something. It's almost been like I've had to, like, as an adult, learn it as a skill, whereas it feels like a lot of other people, well, that's just sort of part of what you have as a human being, you know. But I guess I in the past had done a lot to shut that down because it wasn't comfortable long time ago. And I had done some things sort of by myself, with myself, mindfulness practices and things like that. But honestly, it wasn't until I connected with a particular practitioner who does somatic experiencing therapy that it really, you know, helped me substantially start to really understand what the kind of inquiry that Cody was talking about, they're like self-inquiry, basically, of like, you know, how am I feeling about this situation? And it had to start with me very, very simply. You know, it was literally like, what do you feel in your body, or where do you feel that in your body? They were two questions that I give a lot of credit to this person, because she started very slowly. I think she really recognized that I was going to need to start with baby steps, and they were the baby steps that helped me a lot. So I now ask that of myself. You know, it's sort of become a tool that I can use to start off that process of getting kind of out of my head and a little bit more connected with my body, because there's a lot of intelligence there. There's a lot of information there that oftentimes we just go, oh, don't want that information. I just want to be up here, you know?
Yes, Benedict.
Sorry. And look, when did you know that it was actually important for you to be more connected to all those senses?
That's a good question. I wish I had like a smarter answer, but I think it was when I had tried just about everything else that I felt curious about trying and thought it was going to be a big help for me, and probably everything incrementally did help me along the way. But it sort of ended up almost being this, I've crossed off or checked off all of these other things that I thought, you know, from my sort of personal research, I'd, you know, tried to learn about what could be helpful for me. But it was also, you know, as these things happen, also part coincidence, part great timing, part, you know, just being introduced to it through someone I knew. And I guess all of those things combined, you know, and it was then sort of the right time for me. I think too, though, I do want to say it's the kind of practice that you can't rush, you know. So it's the kind of thing where if someone doesn't feel drawn to it, I don't think it's a great idea to try to push yourself into it. I think you need to be very soft and actually gentle with yourself if you're going to go into those kinds of places, because there's a lot stored in the nervous system, you know, memories and trauma and that kind of thing. And certainly it's some reconnecting with that, you know, which is powerful, but yeah, you have to be in a spot to handle that. Yeah.
Thank you, Luke. Go ahead, Maud. What do you want to add?
Yeah, I have a very simple tool for me that I use when I want to make a decision important for me. I just ask a question, why I want to choose that. If it's for love for me, or is it because I'm afraid to be unloved, like my family or my friend, or like my dream's father or something like that. And if it's because I'm afraid, that's not the good choice for me. And even if it's uncomfortable to choose the love, to choose the right thing for me, to love me, sometimes it's uncomfortable because like this is unusual. But when I try that, it's always the good way.
Oh, thank you, Maud. I really like that. So you don't want to make a choice based on fear.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's so easy. Yes.
Yeah, it's not very easy. It's challenging, but it's a great experience.
Oh yes, I bet, because you have so many fears, like the fear of like finances, of like choosing a next activity based on, yes, finances is a big one, and it's sometimes it's not the one that make you grow, and it's a bit like the brain and the heart are not really like best buddy at that time. So they just like a little bit fight with each other, It's never good. Oh, yes. Yes, Cody.
Add to all that.
Go ahead. Maybe Johnna, because we didn't hear you first. It's okay? Yes. Go, Johnna.
I'll take the metaphorical talking stick.
Yes! I love that.
I think to answer, and I think that was a really great suggestion, Maud, of kind of asking yourself what is motivating you, and kind of just to give some reference to anybody who hasn't done any internal work. As Luke was saying, it's not taught in our Western society to listen to the intuition and to know and follow the gut and that sort of thing. But mirror work is a really nice start, because as we tend to see what's on the outside first, so sitting in the mirror, looking yourself in the eye, and maybe even not even saying anything can bring forth a whole slew of emotions, and then slowly moving on from there of, you know, telling yourself, you know, not lies if you have a really hard time with negative self-talk, as I have experience with in my past, of, you know, picking out something that you like about yourself. You know, I like my hair, so looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I really love my hair. I love the way it does this, and I love the way it sets that, you know, like these kind of things that are external, and then bringing it in and saying, okay, I like that I'm a good person, or I'm honest or direct, or whatever it is, you know, that you like about your personality, allows someone who hasn't done any work and in terms of knowing the self to slowly get to know themselves and to sit in their successes rather than the negative parts of us.
Yeah, that's a good exercise.
Yes.
Hard one. It's hard.
Yes.
Very hard one when it's the first time. Yes.
Yes.
And we need to say, Johnna, well, I love your hair, so I understand.
I just cut like 10 inches off. Thank you.
And when you were saying that, I said, yeah, I love her hair too. But it's like, it's such a great reminder to actually practice of beginning with the positive, because we all know the negative self-talk. There's like people who have more, and it comes for various reasons, education, epigenetic, like you name it. But beginning with like something that you love about yourself, I think is a great, great tip. Cody, I think you wanted to say something. Would you like to add something?
Simply, actually, further to what was said and what you were saying, it's that fight between the heart and the brain. I think that what would be really good, and I know we don't have the time to explore, but what I want to say is, how do I let my heart and brain communicate? Because they're both essential to my well-being. So the brain is not a bad person. It's not like the voices in my head, they're not necessarily bad. What do I do? What do I want to do with those voices that matter? Not just like, so being, again, self-aware of what's happening inside of me, and acknowledge those voices or those feelings or those thoughts, whatever that is. And how can I make the heart and the brain a team? And that takes a lot of work, to be honest. It just doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. Yes, that would be like fantastic to have like your brain and your heart being best buddy like right away. Maybe as a kid, I don't know. And I couldn't agree more about like the brain is not a bad thing, the mind is not a bad thing. No, it's not. And it's just like how to be friend with him and not maybe sometime overuse it. So it's just, absolutely. It's not always logical, and it doesn't have to be logical. And my background is in software, so like, yes, a domain that Luke knows very well.
Absolutely.
Yes, so everything is logical.
Lots of logic.
Yes, and sometimes to actually like have that communication with the heart when you are like rely on your brain and your logic so much, it's like there is a highway between the two of them, but you can actually make them, but it requires practice.
I love what you said, actually, that overusing, and I think that's what we do. We overuse the brain, we tire the brain, and then we have decision fatigue, and we don't know what we need to do. And as I'm listening to you, actually, like the heart, if you think about it, the heart and the brain feed each other, right? The blood that circulates and the heart control, the brain control, it's like they're a team, but we didn't learn, as it was mentioned before. We don't learn, not in our schools, not in our families, because our parents didn't learn neither how to acknowledge their feelings and know what's happening. So most of us don't have emotional education. We have, you know, mental education. We learn how to grow our brain, but not our heart.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not like the thing that is like the number one priority. I think it's getting a little bit of a transition that now we are so lucky to actually be having those spots. Vancouver, I talk about Vancouver, Canada. I hope Amsterdam too. But you have like those opportunities to actually grow yourself and acknowledge your emotions. Like it's something that you couldn't do like a few years ago. Like even 10 years ago when I began Reiki, woo, that was not like like when I say, okay, so I'm gonna stop software and I'm gonna learn energy work. And you should have seen my family eyes. It's like that was absolutely fantastic. But I'm so happy to see that it's changing. And like without like a very big transition, but I would like to talk a little bit about the wellness practitioner. And sometimes they have a reputation to be a guru or like somebody who has like all that power, that gigantic and almost ego and dressed in white. Somebody I dressed in white, so that's a problem. But but I would like to know, in your opinion, how to differentiate somebody who has a guru type or like a very professional wellness practitioner. So when you are like a client yourself, because I assume that you continue to keep learning. So how do you make sure that you follow your value of professionalism? Is there anybody who wants to talk about that? Nobody. Yes? Cody. Yeah? Luke, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but this is really simple. I always find myself gravitating towards people who are authentically curious and feel like they're still very engaged, like as a student of their own field themselves. I think that's what really sort of makes for somebody that, you know, that it's sort of, there's a passion about that, and there's just a very great energy that they're bringing to what they're doing. That, yeah, I think it's a better fit for me anyway, because I think I like to learn as well as, you know, receive whatever therapy they're offering, and there's just a nice like harmony there, because typically I find I learn from those people because they're willing to sort of discuss things, you know, as well as engage in that therapy. So yeah, I think especially if someone's been in a field for a long time, you know, sometimes they get a little burned out and it all gets a bit routine. And so I think this is my attempt at trying to avoid those people.
Sorry, how interesting it is. It's just like, because like, so it will raise your radar if you have like somebody who is there like for too many years and just did one thing.
Yeah, or even if they might do that, and that would be cool if they were still really enthusiastic about it, you know. Yes. So I think when I first meet someone, I ask some of those little probing questions to try to gauge, you know, do they still like this, or is just this the thing that they do, you know, because that's what they do now. Yeah.
What are the questions we would ask them?
What questions would I ask? Yeah, I think often I bring a little bit of maybe some self-study or research that I've done already. And actually, I bet you this is really frustrating for some practitioners. So everyone that's watching, I really apologize for this, because some people, you know, Google too much and come in, hey, I know all this stuff about what you do. And you're like, oh goodness, like, no, you don't know the half of it. I totally get that. So I'm mindful of that and very respectful of the fact that I come in and say, hey, I know nothing about this. And so please, like, you know, point me in the right direction. But I'm really interested in this thing, you know, that I read about, or I read this book, you know, that was about sort of this field, or I've, you know, even listened to these podcasts by someone, and what really caught my attention was how they were talking about XYZ. And so I, you know, sort of throw out some like, you know, industry relevant topics, I guess, and see, do they sort of like, you know, use that as kind of a nice little entryway into even if it's just a brief conversation about that? Or do they just sort of validate and, there, that's nice, let's get into the work now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah. But maybe there's like some practitioners of wellness in Vancouver is going to recognize you today and say like, oh, that was him who just sent me that long. Oh, that's fantastic. So you just like research like on their website, but also maybe making a research on the topic and see what resonates with you.
Yeah, I think both. Yeah, and probably it's more, I'm still a little bit, like, ironically, I guess, having worked in software, but I'd still prefer just an introductory conversation with the person. Yeah, but if they've published something online or something, absolutely, I'll be looking at that. But it's less about checking them out. It's not researching the practitioner as much as it is, would have developed an interest in their field, I think, by the time I'm coming to see them. And it's more about like just an introductory conversation, which can help, I guess, elicit just a little bit of conversation from their side to see if they've still got that curiosity. Do they have that energy? Are they still into this? Would they talk about it outside of their working hours, or it's just like 5 o'clock, forget about that, I don't want to think about it anymore? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dick. Is there like anybody who wants to add something about that? Yes, Cody, go ahead.
For me, it's speaking of guru, I don't like the word guru, and I think because the field of wellness has been, I don't know, in my opinion, has been, I don't know, some reputation to some practitioners. So for me, what's important is knowing that the person have the tools. And what's important is to know what they learned. So I always look for people who are certified. I look at the certification that they have. I just don't go for anybody who claim, for example, in coaching, I don't go for anybody who's just like, oh, I'm a coach. What did you learn? Like, I think it's a responsibility for all of us, the people who work in the wellness industry, to be aware of the tools that we have. Because when there's a connection with the client or the person who's seeking help, we can damage them or we can help them. So it's like knowing, for me, what's important is, does the person have the tools? Do they have the qualifications? And another thing too is the feeling. I'm always looking for somebody with whom I have a fit. And it's not about bringing me to my comfort zone. I want them to take me out of my comfort zone, but I want to know two things: their tools, and if there's a fit between them and I. And I always go for the word of mouth. I like to trust. I think as humans, most of us believe what we hear. Like when there's if I don't know, Benedict or Luke or any one of us on the call here tells me, hey, there's that practitioner that does this and this and this. And if I trust you, I know you're giving me a good advice. So I'm still gonna look that person and I'm still gonna see if there's a fit, yes or no, between us. So to avoid the guru thing. And another thing I think Luke was talking about, the learning. I think us people who are in the wellness industry, we don't know it all. I think we have the tools, we have the experience, and I believe that the person who's seeking help is the person who's the most expert in what they need and to which degree they're willing to go in terms of exploring what's inside of them. So we have the tools, but it's they are the experts in terms of navigating, their well-being. So somebody, I'll do this and it will work magic. No, it will not work. Maybe it worked for Maud, but it wouldn't work for me. I'm a different human beings with different aspirations, with different background. You can't claim it one size fits all. So, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Go, Maud.
Yeah, for me, a guru is a person we think is the good person for everyone to cure everybody. And when the therapist talk about like, you have the power inside you, this is like the good stuff. And after, it depends about your feeling inside, if you feel good close to this person, or if you like when they write on the website or the podcast and the broadcast and everything like that. But yeah, the feeling, and understand that it depends on you.
Yes.
Yeah, we have it
big time.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like so important. And there was a question about that, but we have 3 minutes. Benedict, you think we can do it? But it was like putting yourself in like a client and what you wish that they were looking for when they are like reaching you. And for me as a meditation and Reiki practitioner is actually to feel that I am not the magician that will heal all their problem. So it would be like directly to see that the power is in themselves and I can just guide them. So, but I kind of would like to know, what about you? Like as a practitioner, what your ideal customer would do to find you, what you would be like, yes, he find the great way to find you. And I think, Benedict, I'm going to ask you, because I think, no, I don't want that. But yes, I think as a coach, you have like even a training for that. And I think it's important, like the relationship client practitioner is needs to have some harmony.
Mm-hmm. So your question is, what do I wish they would actually ask me or search for?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm gonna say what Cody said actually, especially in coaching, because there are so many people who claim being a coach just because they, write 2 books about personal development, which is very annoying. So, and again, it's not because you're certified that you're a good coach, and it's not because you're not that you cannot be a good coach, but it's just that if we want that profession to be professional, we also need some kind of structure and frame around it. And unfortunately, today there is not much besides certain certifications. So, and because we really work with human beings, it's so precious and sensitive that to me it's really important as well to be properly equipped to be able to work with people. And sometimes it goes through the right trainings, the right supervision, the right practice before you can do that. So I wish my clients would know more about that, because when they come to me, they have no clue about it. I have to educate them around it. And part of my ethics, it is actually to educate them and to tell them, you know what, go see other coaches. Make sure you're going to find the right fit for you. Make sure they are certified. Make sure they have this and that. And then make your choice. If it's me, great. If it's not me, it's okay.
Interesting. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that structure is so important. It's so important because for Reiki practitioner, I will talk with you more too. It goes all over the place. And it has a beauty in it because it makes the practice like so different from every Reiki practitioner. But in the same time, there's some structure that you wish that everybody would have. And it's because like, even if you are like, especially in the spiritual body, if you are like up there and like just really spiritual, you still have a wing in like the material world, and it works in a certain way, and it has to be structured in a certain way. And actually, I think that the energy flow more with structure. So thank you, Benedict. I knew that you would answer like a perfect answer. And I think that now
it's a daughter of perfectionism.
Exactly. So I think we're good for like the question about like the theme. And now it's all about you, Benedict. That's it.
Well, thank you, first of all, for sharing all your great insights. I didn't see the time, I was like just listening to you, and
that's so
thirsty. So thank you for putting me back on track, Fred. I think, we are actually doing what we're doing today also because we have a special project, Fred and I. We're actually building a co-living place. It's a space for entrepreneurs, travelers, nomads to actually live and work together. And the particularity of it is that we really want to invite wellness practitioners into that living space. And so today it's great because we're already building that community. And so I'm just very curious about what you think about that idea. I know, and I believe most of you work online, most of you have been traveling, or maybe not, but I'm just curious. And also because, you know, of the COVID and all that stuff, maybe you have to move, you know, from normal office hours to a different way of working. So I think I'm just dropping 15 questions at the same time. I'm so sorry about that. But maybe, yeah, let's start with the online work. Yeah, let me rephrase that. So who works online?
Yeah, half.
Okay, everyone, great. When you actually have a client coming to you, I don't know if it's your case, but in my case, I very often have clients who really want to meet me face to face, and they're a little, you know, hesitant in actually starting a coaching relationship online. So I'm just curious how your clients react to that, what's the difference for you to actually work face to face or online? Maybe there are some benefits, some challenges. Who starts?
I can start if you want. Oh, go ahead, Cody.
Thanks. No, for me, I wanted to say actually before the COVID, I was working just in person with clients, and the reality now has changed. So I can't really answer 100%. However, I can talk about the conveniences for me and for the client. What's so interesting, they can just show up obviously in their comfort, in the comfort of their home, if they have like a home, you know, a space that allows for that. And for me, it just saved me a lot of traveling time, because when I don't, so I do two things. I have my own, you know, coaching clinic office that I do a couple of days a week. That was before the COVID. And then the executive coaching that I do, I always go to the client's office. So it has saved me a lot of time in terms of like traveling, and I can now book clients back to back with 15 minutes break. It's a luxury. And I think we're learning with the clients, both me and the clients, we're learning how to navigate that, you know, trust that, you know, created in the energy that can be created in a physical space that we no longer have. So yeah.
And Maud, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same. I have my office, and because I was traveling in Vancouver and Montreal, but I had some customers in France, I learned to do that on Skype. For some people, it was very easy, like the connection was very fluid, and for some, it was more difficult. Like, I think some people are really need to almost touch you to understand what you're saying, and some don't need it. Personally, I don't need it because maybe a Reiki helped me with that, but I really make a real connection with the people before the meeting, and I can feel what they feel. Even if the connection is bad, or even if I don't see they're crying on that, I can feel it on me. And for me, it's very easy, and I like this way to work. And I really want to work more in this way, but not all the time. Half of the time is very good for me. It's a good balance.
And you, Johnna, I know when we met, so Johnna and I, we actually met in a co-living in Tenerife, in the Canary Islands. And I know you were building your business online. So I'm just curious if you have anything to say around that.
I have found, so the business I just closed was real estate, and that's more of an in-person job. And so everybody was asking me, how are you doing real estate and traveling the world? And I think I just have found that my clients were all entrepreneurs themselves. And so taking large chunks out of their time to come and drive to me and sit down and when it was real easy for them to just get on a call in between their meetings, it then propelled me to encourage me that, okay, I can do all of this online. Not everything has to be in person all of the time. I would mimic what Maud said of that nice balance. So I'm curious to see how it will go after COVID and that sort of thing, because I too am learning Reiki. So I'm going to see how that is and what that's like, not online and doing it in person. It's going to be vastly different.
And talking about that, how do you see, you guys, the future of wellness? Like, I don't know, in 5, 10, 50 years, what would be different between today and in the future?
I have a dream for that, and I don't know if it will come true or not, but I have seen some little examples of this where, for example, in Vancouver, there's a great, like an integrated wellness clinic, for example. And so they have, many different practitioners in there. And having gone there, what was really cool is that the practitioners weren't just there to share, office space and, share a reception and everything like that, like you sometimes get. But the practitioners really were there and operating with an understanding and an awareness of the other sort of fields or disciplines that were sort of under that one roof, and were actually integrating their advice of how you could get help in sort of a collective, kind of a way from these different people at the same time, to help treat particular things. And that was a really unique experience for me in a very, very good way. And I think in some ways they were also like, sharing notes about, where I was at and what I was doing. It was around an injury in that particular case. But that was just so fantastic, as an experience, that I just thought, I really hope there's a lot more of that kind of integration in the future. And to some degree, I don't know if this is possible, but the big idea is like, if there could be some kind of like a concierge that would actually be kind of your ongoing project manager almost, that would help sort of like, because at the moment you do that yourself, as a person that goes and seeks out this practitioner and that practitioner. Maybe you have, a coach, and then maybe you also do some Reiki, and then you also maybe go to a somatic experiencing therapist once a month and do all these different things. But you have to develop this level of expertise to be able to navigate the world and to kind of select into, these are the things and this is how I'm going to plan this out. And, I go to this person once a month and this person once a week and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that it'd be so great. There are so many people that don't have the time to learn enough that you need to learn just to be able to plan that out for yourself right now. And that really disappoints me, because I think people could be getting a lot more assistance from practitioners if they had some kind of a Sherpa, or something that would help them. So that's the big vision that I've got.
I think we love your vision.
That's good.
Benedict, it's crazy. It's validating lots of our things in our plan.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's why you see two because the concierge is a part of the co-living. So there's a guy.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it's so good to see Cody talking about that, building a community where you have a recommendation, and that's why we do that. Every member is recommended by somebody that we trust, and to see, look, that you are describing the wellness center and integrative, and have somebody who guide you in it's a big part of our.
Oh, that's so awesome! Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me very excited.
Thank you.
Literally use the word concierge.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was we had a whole meeting about that concierge, so that's pretty.
That's super cool.
I have something.
Yes, Cody.
The time still loves. I think we'll see more and more practitioners, wellness practitioners, and I think the world will need more of us. And I think further to what Luke very well said, that integration. The dream, I think, would be probably to have more interdisciplinary program where a practitioner, just like we do a 4 years marketing degree, to have a wellness degree where you study different aspects.
Yeah.
But the key, I think, for me, is what you said, look, really touched me, because I remember I was going through something medically speaking, and the doctors would know. I was telling my doctor, I would like to have a holistic approach, like, oh, you need to go to the, the private sector. I'm like, it doesn't matter, but like, I have this problem and this problem and this problem, and there must be a connection between them. That doesn't make sense. I'm going to one, a specialist to another, and I think the wellness field as well is the same. I think it's a journey, and I love the fact that you guys call it wellness journeys. I think we go through different journeys depending on where we are in life. And sometimes a Reiki practitioner would be the help for me, or the right answer for me. And sometimes it can be a coach, sometimes it can be a psychologist. It's not one that's better than the other. Yeah. But having all of these approaches integrated would be great, would be awesome. And I think we'll hopefully, or it's both a hope and a dream that, it will be more organized and more structured, as you're saying, Benedict, that there will be some kind of order, just like we have the is that what you call it in English, order, I guess, or like a association, a what? I'm sorry.
Governing body.
Yeah, a reigning body, actually, governing body for the professional, rather than just having those random. And I think that will give us, it will give those of us who studied and who have the techniques more credibility. And for the clients as well, they know to who they can go, and they know that the practitioner they're working with is being held responsible if they do a mistake. So I hope there will be more structure in the future around this field.
Yes, Maud?
Yeah, I don't know if you know, guys, Ayurveda medicine. Yeah. I learned a lot about it, and I love it because they take the whole story. All of our body tonight, they take care about everything, but the doctor knows everything, like the concierge. That's why it's good. It's a very good idea, like Occidental idea.
That's so funny. And Maud, I might get in touch with you because it's something that I would like to learn, Ayurveda.
I have a lot of tips if you want.
I would love that, because that's my next thing that I want to learn. So.
Wow. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. Benedict, it's 9 a.m.
Okay.
Well, in Vancouver.
Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your dreams, your thoughts, everything. And I just love it because that's, I guess, exactly what we want to create with Fred. Just, those kind of collaborations. It's so fun to discuss, to talk about the same thing, but from different perspectives and different approaches. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend and stay in touch.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Thank you so much. Bye.